Hello everyone, thanks for tuning to this workshop. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. So today we're going to be reviewing Sky on Fire by E.K. Johnston. So this book is actually a sequel to a book the author wrote, years ago, called Aetherbound. Long-awaited sequel, and it ties into the first book, but it follows very different characters. What I really appreciated was the fact that even though I didn't remember a whole lot of what happened with Pent and the station she's on, I remembered things, but not a whole lot. Again, it's been years. Johnston did a really good job of throwing in quick recaps of what happened in, that book. To the point where I was second guessing my memory. I'm just no, Pent didn't die. I don't remember Pent dying. And then as the story unfolds, you're just I couldn't even find my original copy. I think it's in storage somewhere with all my other books. But it was actually really interesting to read it because I was second guessing my memory. And I'm no, I don't remember her dying. And then as the story unfolds, I was reading, I was ha! I knew she wasn't dead. It was all a cover, right? It's all a cover. So this book follows Morgan, right? She's a science prodigy. She's trying to map and see when the next Aether crisis is going to happen. And what that is a lot of people are born with a gene sense tied into Aether. It's a little complicated to explain, so I don't really want to explain it. But as you're reading it, it's not complicated at all. It's just, that's how they're born, with this Aether sense, where they can just look at you, one of the girls, she can look at you and determine how many calories you need in the food that she's making. It's really, really quite fascinating the way Aether and gene sense works in the story. But she has none. She's just a science prodigy. So she's trying to map out when the next kind of cataclysm is going to happen, where everyone is just going to have to lose all of their gene sense and connection to the Aether bound, because that also helps with navigation and navigating the stars, star sense, basically. It's really, really interesting. It's a really nice aspect of the sci-fi that goes into this book. I really do think Johnston does a really good job with the world building and building up the science and building up this history of what gene sense is and star sense and how it came about. More of it is explored in Aetherbound in the first book than it is in this book. But of course, Johnston is preemptively understanding that you're not going to remember much, so she does do quick, again, little recaps in the book to give you a reminder of what this world is all about and the structure of this world. And I think that that's really interesting because it doesn't take away from the pacing of the book, it doesn't take away from the momentum, and it doesn't drag the story down at all. I will say, I think Johnston's writing style is, I don't want to say dry. I feel like that's the wrong word. It's definitely not flowery. It's very much to the point. But I think that kind of goes along with our new character, Morgan. She doesn't outright say that Morgan is asexual, but it is implied. And if you do some research in the book, you're just oh yes, she is supposed to be an asexual character. And I like that it's implied because it gives us, the reader, free reign to kind of connect to her and make our own assumptions about her based on her narrative. We're not putting her into a box. We're letting her develop as organically as she would as a character, if that makes any sense. So I like the way that Johnston has used this character, that felt like a wrong word to say, as she has showcased asexuality in the novel. There, that's much better. I think it's really fascinating that she doesn't put a label to it, because even Morgan herself is kind of struggling with how to identify her. So I felt like putting her into a box would have been too controlling, and it would not have fit the narrative that the author was going for. But again, it reads a little dry. It is a short, quick read. It's not very long at all. It's like 260 pages, I think. It's not a very long book. But it's just... I don't know how to describe it, honestly. It's very straightforward. It's very to the point. It's very not flowery. It's very much in line with who our character is. Morgan, science prodigy, asexual. It's very just kind of not static either, because she's growing and her personality is growing. Like, the book begins with she keeps herself very closed off. She doesn't really want to form connections. She doesn't really have a relationship with her parents. She does have a relationship with her aunt. She loves books. She has a personality, but you don't really get to see it come alive until she starts forming those character dynamics with other characters, including Ned, who there's definitely a romantic element there. And I think as they explore that romantic element, that's where you really get to see her kind of identify herself as part of the asexual group, while still having those romantic feelings for Ned. And he's like Ned, if you read the first book, he's a sweetheart. He's just a freaking sweetheart. You love him, and you get to see that chemistry between them, and it's just like really heartwarming and sweet, but nothing actually happens. But you can tell that they do form a very deep bond relationship, and that on both sides, it does have a romantic element to it. And I think it's really sweet how it evolves and develops. But I don't think this is going to be a book everyone's going to love, because it's, not really flowery. It's very scientific. There we go. That's the best way to describe it. It's very scientific in the approach to the storytelling, but it fits with the narrative. However, I don't think that's going to be everyone's cup of tea. But I was perfectly fine with it, again, because it fit the narrative and it fit the character. It matched who this person was. Like, the tone, the narrative, the pacing, the way it was very straightforward and, not flowery. It matched Morgan, our protagonist. So they balanced each other out enough for me to, really lose myself in the story. And I love the world building. The ending, though, there's more. There has to be more that's going to happen. I feel like this story, this world, I don't think it's done yet. There's definitely more that can be explored, especially after the ending. You're just like, what? It reminds me a little bit of Kincaid's Diabolic trilogy, which everyone needs to read that series. It is amazing. Read it. There's definitely more. It's like an open-ended ending. It's not closed. There's so much more that could happen. There's so much more that can be explored. This is ripe for the picking. And I think if Johnston were to do another book, I think it would be really great. She doesn't close all the circles. She doesn't resolve everything. And you're just like, what? By the end of it. But it's still really good, and it's really gripping. So I think everyone should give it a chance. Even though the writing is very kind of scientific, it's in its tone. But again, it matches Morgan, who is a science prodigy. So on that note, 4 stars. Solid 4 stars. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with all your book loving friends. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, happy reading.